Welcome to The Explainer. Picking a spot for your business, it's one of the biggest bets an entrepreneur can make. Get it right, and you're perfectly positioned for success. But get it wrong, and man, it's an uphill battle. So today, using some great insights from Mzansi magazine, we're going to walk through a guide to make sure you place that bet wisely. So we have to start with the classic real estate mantra. Yeah, I know, it sounds a little cliche, right? But as the source material really highlights for the super vibrant Mzansi market, this phrase is still the most important factor for success. Seriously, your location can be the difference between a business that's absolutely booming and one that just, fizzles out. So, how do you actually get it right? Well, this 5-step checklist turns what feels like an overwhelming decision into a clear, actionable plan. It gives you a serious strategic advantage. So let's dive right in. Okay, first things first. Before you even think about looking at a map, the first step is actually an internal one. You've got to know with absolute clarity what your brand is all about, and just as importantly, who you're trying to sell to. So first up, what's the vibe of your business? The atmosphere you're trying to build? It's everything. Are you that lively street food vendor that just thrives on constant buzz and energy? Or are you more like a calm, bespoke tailoring store that needs a quiet, refined space? The answer really shapes your entire search. And this is just as crucial. Who are your people? You really have to get in their heads. Think about their habits, their lifestyles, where they already hang out. A tech startup, for instance, should probably be near a university or a tech hub. A craft goods store, it's going to do great in an artsy community. Bottom line, you've got to go where your customers already are. Okay, so once you've got that internal stuff figured out, now it's time to take that knowledge out into the world. Step 2 is all about hitting the streets, scouting the local scene, and really getting a feel for the pulse of an area. The article calls foot traffic the pulse of your business, and that's so true. For retail, it's pretty much your most valuable asset. But, and this is the key insight, it's not just about the number of people walking by, it's about the type of people. 1,000 people who aren't your target customer are way less valuable than 50 who are. Look, you have to make it dead simple for customers to get to you. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. If the signs are confusing, there's no parking, or it's hard to get into, are they really going to bother? Every little obstacle you can remove, that's one less reason for someone to just give up and go somewhere else. Now, competition. Most people see it as a bad thing, right? But it's really a double-edged sword. Think about it. A whole bunch of great restaurants on one street creates a dining destination, and that draws in more people overall. The trick is to find that sweet spot where you're part of the buzz, but not getting totally lost in the crowd. All right, let's talk about your neighbors. Because believe me, the businesses right next door can have a huge, direct impact on your own foot traffic and your success. And I love how the Mzansi magazine article frames this. It asks, what kind of businesses could actually help you succeed? See? That totally shifts your thinking. You're not just trying to avoid bad neighbors, you're actively looking for allies. This is what's known as the cluster effect, where businesses that complement each other feed off each other's success. Like a great bakery right next to a busy restaurant or a gym next to a health food store. It just makes sense. And hey, don't forget about your staff. A spot with group public transit and some decent lunch places nearby, that's a huge perk. Every building, every location has its own personality, its own vibe. And that vibe says a lot about your brand before anyone even steps inside. This is a perfect example. The history and architecture of a place can powerfully reinforce your brand's identity. An antique store in some grand historic building, it just feels right, doesn't it? It gives it this instant air of authenticity and status. So you've got to ask yourself, what image are you trying to project? A traditional, established firm might want that historic, solid feel. But a fast-paced tech company, they're probably going to want a sleek, modern building that just screams future. Your building has to match the story you're telling. Simple as that. Okay, last but definitely not least, we've hit the reality check. This is all the practical, nitty-gritty stuff. The details you absolutely, positively cannot overlook before you sign anything. The article really hammers this point home. You have to do your homework on local laws and regulations. Is this spot even zoned for your kind of business? What are the building codes you have to follow? Mess this up, and you could be looking at massive fines or, worst case scenario, getting shut down completely. And please, don't get tripped up by bad infrastructure. Yeah, I know, things like plumbing and internet aren't exactly exciting, but they are the absolute building blocks of your day-to-day operations. Think about it. Crappy internet or a busted pipe can literally bring your entire business to a standstill.
Here's a classic rookie mistake, only looking at the rent. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. You need a complete financial picture that includes utilities, ongoing maintenance, and any renovations you'll have to do. These so-called hidden costs can completely blow your budget.
So, let's bring it all together. Choosing a location isn't just about finding the cheapest rent or the busiest street. It's about pulling all these pieces together: your brand, your customer, the neighborhood, the building, and the fine print into one single, powerful, strategic choice. So there you have it. You got the framework from Mzansi magazine to make a much smarter decision. The only question left is for you to answer. Is your location just going to be an address on a map, or is it going to be your strategic superpower that really drives your success in the Mzansi market?